What's going on, Texas? It's not Tuesday, but it's time to talk some football. This is going to be a special edition coming to you live for, in honor of Independence Day tomorrow. Nobody wants to work tomorrow, including us. So we're going tonight. That way we don't have to do anything tomorrow. We can just blow things up and have a good time. So I'm SAJ coming to you live from the Don't Tread on Me studios in the original 13 colonies. And this guy over here.
What's up, everybody? I'm BD coming at you from the Suck It England studios.
You know what? I just thought of a good one, and I should have said it. Coming to you live from the Jason Pierre-Paul studios. Oh,
That's right. Mm-hmm.
This is Texans Talking Football. We have some very interesting things to talk about this weekend. There was some decent football played, but even more off the field antics that really need to be highlighted. And I think there's a couple of people that need to be kind of held accountable for some of their actions. So before we get to that, let's talk about the USFL Championship weekend. Brian, did you get to catch any of this game?
I watched from kickoff until about midway through the third quarter when I realized that, Pittsburgh didn't have a chance in hell of coming back, and I just couldn't watch the game anymore. So I turned it off. But
can't say that I blame you, Brian. I watched most of this game, and it was not fun. Okay. It was fun in the sense that there was football on TV on a Saturday afternoon, and it wasn't college and it wasn't NFL, right? But it was not fun because it was the USFL. And there's a big reason why I say that. And we'll get to that once we talk about this game. But this game was not a very exciting game. The Stallions wound up winning 28-12 to become.
And it never felt like it was that close. You say 16-point win. That's a pretty handy win for USFL. Dude, it felt like it was a 20-plus point game all game.
Yeah, it was not a great game. It was not very pretty. It was not entertaining. There were not like a whole lot of fans. It was, unfortunately, it was a typical USFL game, right? It felt no different than any of the playoff games or any of the regular week games. It was just USFL football, right? Nothing spectacular to write about. But for the Maulers, let's look at some of the stats as we talk about this game. Williams went 24-37, 143 yards, no picks, no TDs, right? And then Groshek, I guess he was brought in for maybe a special play, 0 of 1, right? They wound up 143 yards in the air.
Well, it looked like it was probably a special play. He's running back, so probably trying to do something, but obviously 0 for 1 didn't do nothing.
Yeah. On the ground, they had 98 yards total. Williams had the bulk of the carries, 38 yards on 4 attempts. Groshek had 35 yards on 9 attempts. There really wasn't that much to write about. I mean, the longest run was Williams for 19 yards, and that was probably a busted play. And when your quarterback's running 19 yards and that's your longest run, that's telling me that your run game, you didn't really plan on using much of it, right? So again,
they had 98 yards, which it's not terrible, but like I said, it wasn't. It didn't seem like impressive. It was an unimpressive 98 yards.
No.
Like the whole, let's say the entire Pittsburgh was just unimpressive. Like even the defense, like they tried to play defense in the first quarter and, they did pretty good. But after that, it was just, Birmingham did whatever they wanted to do.
Yeah, they did okay. But again, if you go back and look at the stats, right, Pittsburgh went up 3-0 in the first quarter. Then after that, they scored a total of 6 points, while Birmingham scored 14.
Yeah, exactly.
That's touchdowns versus
Yeah,
2
they're
field
just
goals.
kicking field goals the entire game, and that's it. Birmingham. Pittsburgh kind of held Birmingham in the first quarter. It's like, oh yeah, it's going to be a close game, and Pittsburgh is actually coming out and playing. Well, the defense tried, but Birmingham got loose, and Pittsburgh just couldn't match it.
Right. So flipping over to the Stallions, right? Magoo had a pretty good game. 18-25 for 243, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, quarterback rating. Arguably, Magoo's going to wind up being the MVP of the USFL. What that means, who knows? But he did his job, right? And then on the ground, 150 yards total rushing offense, 64 of which came from the quarterback. Yep. So longest was 23 yards. That sounds like a lot of designed quarterback keepers and just, run plays where the quarterback gets to stretch his legs. I'm kind of hopeful, and I don't know how this is going to work out, right? Because we've talked about this before, but I'm kind of hopeful that Magoo gets a chance, right? I'd love to see him in the NFL somewhere.
Yep.
What are his chances of converting from this championship game into the NFL now that, camps are going to be starting real soon? It's going to be interesting to see what the NFL does to adjust their schedule to make up some camps for these guys, because I know like all of our XFL players had already been invited to camps. The guys who are on the 90-man rosters essentially are already there. The guys who got invites and did not make a roster are most likely going to be returning back to the XFL.
Yeah.
Maybe potentially recording. What? Oh, sorry. We're trying out new software here, and I just got a message, and so it threw me off a little bit. But that's okay. Right. We're trying to see if we can bring something that's of better value to you, the audience. And so, right, there's going to be some kinks, and so we apologize. Switching back to the USFL, it is going to be interesting, right? Because we've seen that all the camp invites have already gone out. What are they going to do with some of these superstars from the USFL? How are they going to get themselves back in the NFL? Or are they, in fact, going to have to wait a year, right? So that's kind of what we're waiting to see. But, again, overall, this was it was a typical USFL game. Wasn't horrible to watch, but it wasn't better from a championship game. You expect high-powered offense, high-powered defense. You expect a lot of excitement, and this was just almost more like controlled practices, right? There just wasn't anything there. Now that we've talked about that, I think it's important that we talk about some of the comments that have been coming out since the end of the USFL season and the comparisons between the USFL and the XFL. Now, we are biased. I will 100% admit that, right? Right from the beginning. You guys know that we're XFL fans. We're specifically XFL Brahmas fans. That being said, Daryl Johnson was touting how great the USFL was. Brian, let me ask you, now that the results are out, now that you've seen the viewerships in both of them, the attendance at the games and everything like that, we're not even going to talk finances. I'm going to talk finances next. But let's talk just from a viewership standpoint. What did you think about Daryl Johnson's comments?
So, it's the kind of comments I would expect from somebody trying to defend, the league he is in, he supports and stuff like that. But, I watched quite a bit of XFL. I watched quite a bit of USFL, and I was, bias aside, I was way more entertained watching XFL than I was watching the USFL. And, just the game was more fun to watch, and we talked about it all the time. There was maybe 2 or 3 blowouts the entire season. Every game was close. Every game was within a possession, or two right at the end of the game. So
Now,
You didn't get that feel with the USFL too much, you know.
right.
So
Now,
they had a lot of the blowouts.
granted, we're talking about the Brahmas in relation to the whole USFL league. There were several XFL games where it was a decided win, right? There was no question in your mind who won that game. Okay.
Like I said, there weren't that many though. I don't think there were that many.
No.
Like none that really come like that you know I can like obviously think about. So
no, and most of them came from like Orlando or Vegas, true. Right? Who just could not seem to get their act together, you know, through the whole season. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and bring up the XFL website, and we will go back and look at the scores if I can find them.
You know, something I thought about when we're kind of, first brought this up, why the viewership was so low. And I thought of something, and kind of one of the reasons why I would turn some games off sometimes is really one of the reasons why I turned the championship game off. I am a Cowboys fan. I absolutely hate listening to Jason Garrett talk. I can't stand the clapper. So he's broadcasted the game. I try and get out of watching it. And I think there's a lot of Cowboys fans who also don't like listening to Jason Garrett talk because we heard him in press conferences for 5 years or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going back and I'm looking at the XFL schedule, and it 100% is Vegas and Orlando that kind of dropped a brownie in the punch bowl, if you will. And most every other game was decided by one possession.
Yeah.
And every other game was close. Let's see. This was week 6, right? Just picking one out of random. St. Louis 29, Vegas 6, right? But then again, right? Seattle against Orlando, Seattle 26, Orlando 19. So there were some, right? There was very few, as you said, that were just, absolute, decided wins. Most of them were close, within a possession, maybe possession and a half. Looking at the USFL games, that was not really the case. I mean, you had some games that were, single digits for both teams, and they were close, but that's because they were both bad. And I mean, it wasn't easy to watch. Okay. Now I get Daryl Johnson sticking up for
he's sticking up for his brand, and you would expect him to do that,
Mm-hmm.
But
that being the case, I think it's important for us to talk about the fact that there's one big issue that I have with what Daryl Johnson is saying, just in general, and that's the overall transparency of the XFL from day one versus the hidden, just complete hidden information of the USFL. The USFL touted last year that they made $7 million on their product. Okay, great. But how? Okay. They didn't say anything about sponsorships. They didn't say anything about, the TV rights. They didn't say anything about attendance. They didn't say anything about anything. Now, we know they didn't get jack squat from attendance because nobody attended games in 22, right? We know there were more people in the stands now this year than there's ever been. And this last year was the first year that they opened it up to 5 different actual locations? No, it's 4.
4, yeah, 4 hubs.
Right.
I couldn't
There's
remember
4 hubs.
how many it was.
Okay. XFL's been transparent from the very beginning. Okay. The XFL spent, everybody's talking about how, Dwayne Johnson and the XFL lost $60 million. Let's break that down. Okay. First and foremost, they bought the team for like $8 million. Okay. And then they inherited $10 million of debt from the previous iteration, the 21 XFL. Okay, cool. Right. So you're already 18 million down. Okay. Player salaries, hotel and lodging, all that kind of stuff. They spent, I believe it was 120 million on this last season. Okay. They made $80 million in profit. Okay. Now, I'm sorry, in revenue. Yeah. Okay. That's not profit. That's revenue. That 80 million, 20 million of which came from sponsorship deals from Terramanda, Tequila, Zoa, all the other different sponsorships, Under Armour, you name it, all the companies that are involved, right? Another 20 million came from, I believe it was the TV sponsorships.
Okay.
Right? The TV deals that they've worked out, which are only going to get better, right?
Yeah.
XFL swallowed a hard pill to get them on TV because of previous iterations, previous issues with the XFL, things like that. So they basically sold this product for nothing to get it on TV, right? And with a bunk schedule, they managed to make it work. The other 40 million, give or take, came from merchandise sales and fan attendance. Okay. So they made $80 million in revenue. Total profit was a loss of $60 million.
But you know what they did? They, they invested in the cities that their teams are playing in. USFL didn't do that. They didn't do that last year with the one hub. They didn't do that this year with the 4 hubs. The XFL said, you know what? If we're going to have a successful league, we need our teams to play in the cities they're going to be in. And it's going to cost us some money up front. It's going to cost us hotels. It's going to cost all this. But you know what? We're building a league and a fan base of these teams from the ground up. And they knew they were going to take a loss this first season, but they're building a strong foundation as opposed to the USFL that's, now you know what? Oh, you 3 cities can get your teams playing in your thing. Next year, maybe we'll get a few more. They're playing safe. The XFL is not playing safe. They're playing to be successful.
Yes. Now, first of all, hey Jackie, great to see you. Testing out new software here. Don't laugh at us, please. DJ's probably still asleep in the basement. That's why he doesn't know what we're talking about. And then, of course, what's up, Jimmy? #1 Renegades fan right there. Here's another thing to consider. How much money did the XFL spend on advertising? Outside of the 5 billboards they maybe rented space here. They talked about it. It was less than $100,000, I believe, on advertising in all the home markets. Okay. USFL spent way more than that on advertising.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I honestly have no idea, other than because of a prime schedule and sweet network deals, how the USFL could possibly turn any kind of a profit. Now, if that's the way they're going to make it, cool, right? But Dwayne Johnson came out and said, again, in his article, to rebuke what the Forbes guy said, the XFL rather, has no intentions of being financially viable until the 2026 season. They started off small by investing in communities, by investing in the players, by investing in networking to be able to then start building off of that. Now that they've got solid core groups in most of the cities, right? Vegas and Orlando are, of course, going to kind of, I hate to say it, but they're kind of the outliers because they weren't embraced very well. And there's a couple of the teams where it was like, DC had a pretty solid core group. Their stadium only holds 18,000. Yeah. Their stadium only holds 18,000.
Yeah.
That's easy to sell that out. Ours holds 67,000. St. Louis holds 64,000. You know, it's going to be kind of hard to sell those kinds of tickets if you're going to look at,
especially year one. You know, like we're not. I know we all were hoping that we could get 40, 50,000 people in the dome, and it would have been great. But we've talked so much before just how gun shy San Antonio is about the sports team. So now, but like I said before, they built the foundation. Now we see them build upon that. That's how you build a successful league.
Yep. But here's what it all boils down to. If you truly want to compare apples to apples, Mr. Johnson, you need to spread all the facts out on the table. Okay. You need to be transparent about how much money you're actually getting from your TV deals and how you're not actually relying on the fans at all to try and make this product work.
I guarantee you they're getting a whole lot more from Fox and NBC than the XFL was getting from ESPN, sometimes ABC, and FX.
Right.
So and we're not even talking about streaming numbers, which I guarantee you they found a way to factor in streaming numbers for this. XFL blew the USFL out of the water.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I can guarantee there are more people at home watching these games on streaming services than there were people watching USFL games on streaming or on the regular network coverage. Yeah. Right. And that's the tricky thing about the Nielsen ratings is that you can't really factor in the way the software works and everything. You can't really factor in the streaming stuff just yet. I'm sure they're going to find a way to fix that.
Which is funny to me because I would think that would be the easiest way to track it. I mean, they tell us all the time how many people watched, Stranger Things and all that. Netflix can tell us how many people watch all their shows, but ESPN can't tell us how many of us watch the XFL on ESPN Plus. So,
I mean, unless they're monitoring every single thing that we're watching, which could be a violation of privacy laws, I don't know how they would be able to actually truly say that. Yeah. I think they're just talking about their subscribers and taking a percentage, really. But that's just me. But anyways, so that's kind of here. One thing I wanted to try real quick, right? That's our round against the USFL versus XFL. Okay.
Oh, we got sound effects now, huh?
Oh, we got sound effects. Okay. I'm excited, right? I'm looking forward to all the XFL stuff that's going to be coming up. We already know that they did a rookie draft. We've got showcase camps coming up in the next couple of weeks. Oh yeah, Jackie. Oh yeah. Yeah. We've got sound effects. And check this out. I know this is the way it makes you feel when we do sound effects.
Oh, Lord.
Whatever we can do to bring, a little bit extra joy to our crowd, right? Again, there's lots of stuff coming up in the XFL. I truly believe we're going to have – okay, I got to show this one. Jackie just said she's 100% dead. Yes. I truly believe we're going to have a better product next year than we did this year. We had a good product. We're going to have a better product next year.
Oh, absolutely.
More advertising. I believe we're going to have a better schedule because we've shown that this is a product that's worth investing in. So keep your eyes on the XFL, right? We've got a ton of players that are in NFL training camps, right? Fingers crossed. We're hoping we know at least one has made it to an active roster, right? Parker Romo jerseys are on sale for Detroit. Our friend, the Mariachi of San Antonio, has already bought like 20 of them, and he's going to be wearing them, like for pajamas when he goes to, out to go get groceries. When he goes to family events, he's going to be wearing his Parker Romo jersey. And I love that, right? Because that's really what this whole thing was about. Us having a connection with these players and then watching them as they progressed in their career.
Yeah.
So I know we'll see some of our fan favorites back. I'm hoping Nick Holly comes back. We'll see what happens. But in the meantime, there's going to be a lot of XFL stuff coming up, and it's going to be showcased. Hopefully, we get to actually see some streaming from these training camps and stuff, so we can see some of these players that are going to be our standout players. I don't know. I mean, we're not connected to the XFL in any way, shape, or form. We don't know any execs or anything there. So all we can do is hope and pray. Maybe keep posting it. Maybe somebody from the XFL will notice, and maybe they'll figure it out, because we would have loved to have seen this rookie draft, and we've talked about how that was a missed opportunity to bring more people in.
Yep.
Okay.
But they're learning. They're growing and they're learning.
They're learning. Now, we are going to do things a little bit out of order. We're going to talk about the NAL, right? Because there is some very interesting stuff that we need to talk about with the IFL. And stay tuned, because I'm going to start making this a segment of the show. I am going to roast somebody completely. Last week, you saw me roast the announcer, or the hype man for the Gunslingers. I've got somebody else I've got a bone to pick with now, and we will get to that. But in the meantime, let's switch it over to the NAL. This week, we had the Gunslingers going up against the Orlando Predators in Orlando. And this was an interesting game to start out. Brian, did you catch any of this game?
So I didn't catch any of the first half. I was watching the USFL Championship. So I kind of put it on in the second half. And I mean, San Antonio was getting curb stomped at halftime. They came back out second half. Kent took over for Nelson. I'm not sure. We've been saying it for a couple weeks now. Nelson looks hurt, and so I don't know what any of his game first half looked like, but Kent came in and actually did pretty well. But Gunslingers got in a big hole early, and so as well as Kent played, he couldn't pull him out of it.
Yep. So Nelson wound up going 7 for 18. 11 of these passes were incomplete. Okay, which is not like him. He's supposed to be. I mean, he's pretty much a shoe-in for the MVP for the NAL, and he was just getting worked over to the point where I think we've talked about it. I think there's some hidden stuff going on behind the scenes. Potentially Nelson dealing with an injury that really is kind of sidelining his performance. But I think it really showed on Saturday night, and they had to make the decision to pull him out because otherwise he could have wound up with like a season-ending injury.
And from what they were saying on the broadcast too, Predators were bringing pressure, heavy pressure all game long. So, I mean, Nelson was only sacked once, but just it seemed like he was maybe getting hit a lot more than that. So,
yeah. So flip it over to Kent. Kent was 8 of 13 for 114 yards, 3 touchdown passes. I see 2 picks though. Yep. Right. And so I'm wondering if maybe that's a little bit of that rust that he needed to shake off, because he's been there, but he hasn't seen any game time really. He's been there for what, 4 weeks now, 5 weeks. And this is his first real game that he's actually seen anything. Rushing was abysmal. Okay.
Grand total of 1 yard.
Yep. 1 yard.
San Antonio has been for Arena a good rushing team. I mean, usually we're in the 40 to 50 yards. And this is just, credit to the Predators for stacking the line and just not giving up anything.
That's buffering thing's killing me, man. So let's look at the Predators. Southwick was 23 of 34, 241 yards, 5 touchdown passes. Now, you want to talk about, some kind of sad rushing yards. Southwick was negative 10 yards on 3 attempts. Okay. So every time he tried to hit the Gunslingers line, he got himself pushed back. Now, Maxwell did have 13 attempts for 46 yards. Which, I mean, it's not horrible.
That's kind of the yardage total that we're used to seeing. Yeah. For the Gunslingers, but
yeah, you're rushing back in a high-powered offense a high-powered offensive game like this, you're gonna not rack up a whole bunch, right?
Yeah.
So 46 yards is not bad. Average 4 yards per carry. That's pretty decent.
Yeah.
The problem is,
Especially in arena.
it wasn't us that did it. Okay. So yeah, I watched this game pretty much from beginning to end after, I watched the replay of it. And at no point did it really look like the Gunslingers had it together and were any kind of a threat to Orlando's lead. It was just not a typical Gunslingers game, and you knew eventually something like this was going to happen, but it just did not come around. Okay. So that being the case, the Gunslingers have fallen to 9-2 now, and doesn't really matter because they've already clinched their playoff spot in a league that only has 5 teams. So that's a little bit rough to talk about, but they'll be okay. Okay. Now they're going to have to be careful though, right? Because we still have 4 games left in the season, and there could be a challenge for that first place, but we'll have to see how everything breaks down. So, yes, Jackie, it is. It's a little bit rough. The second game was West Texas Warbirds at Carolina Cobras. I'm going to be honest. I didn't even watch this game, and that's okay because I'm looking at the NAL's website, and apparently they didn't even watch it.
They didn't watch it either. There's no stats posted.
There are absolutely no stats on this game. But we do know that the Carolina Cobras beat the West Texas Warbirds 41-50. Now, I was kind of hoping for the West Texas Warbirds, first of all, because it's a Texas team. Second of all, because, it would be nice to see them, being the underdogs and having some heartbreaking games, not go their way. Plus, right, it helps kind of spread that gap and helps protect San Antonio's lead in the division. But it is what it is. So looking back at the standings, right, you've got Gunslingers at 8-2, not 9-2, 8-2, right? Yeah. Jacksonville Sharks are now 7-2, so only 1 game behind. Carolina Cobras are 6-4. West Texas Warbirds might finish out better than Fayetteville at 4-4. We'll see what happens. But you still have Orlando Predators in the mix at 4-5.
Yeah.
Okay, so going into the
and I guess, and we're still not unsure of how many playoff teams are actually going to make it, what kind of format they're going to have, or what's going on. So, it could be 4 teams, it could be 3, and number 1 seed gets a bye, and who knows? We'll see. We've got 3 more weeks.
We do,
and then we'll find out.
We do. So going into this next weekend, you've got Carolina Cobras. Yeah, you've got the Carolina Cobras again playing the West Texas Warbirds in Abilene. We're hopeful, right? But we've seen that adage that you can't beat a team 3 times not hold true, because the Gunslingers beat the Warbirds 3 times. But then you also have Jacksonville Sharks and the Orlando Predators, right? And so that has, some serious playoff implications right there. So
go Predators.
Yes, those are our games for this week. Let's talk about the IFL. Okay. This was an absolutely insane weekend. Okay. Jimmy, you'll love to hear this, that your Frisco Fighters absolutely obliterated the Sioux Falls Storm 56-15.
Yep. Sioux Falls was this week's official forgot they had a game team.
Yes. It wasn't even remotely close. I'm wondering if, the Frisco fans even stuck around for the entire game, because, again, at no point was Sioux Falls a threat in any way, shape, or form. Now, I have an affinity for Green Bay. This wound up being a great game. Okay. Green Bay Blizzard did wind up beating Tulsa Oilers in Tulsa 58-55. And that was a dog fight of a game. Okay. Green Bay has been struggling. I know that there was some preseason predictions that Green Bay was going to be a contender, and they haven't really turned out to be that. And so it was nice to see him get the win this weekend. I don't know how much of it's going to actually help him, but it's nice to see him get a win, even though it was against Tulsa, right? The Vegas Nighthawks wound up dropping one to Tucson Sugar Skull. I'm sorry, they wound up beating the Tucson Sugar Skulls. I don't remember what our predictions were on this one. Pretty sure that we had picked. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we had picked Vegas on this one. But it was 40-34 game. It's relatively low scoring, kind of what we're used to seeing with the Gunslingers and their wins.
No, actually, so Tucson going in was 7-5. Vegas going in was 4-9.
Oh wow,
so this is actually a pretty big upset for them.
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. This next game. This next game was crazy.
This next game. I mean, I know, 4th of July is tomorrow, but dude, we had some fireworks in this Massachusetts-Arizona game.
We did. And so I want to bring up, and I'm going to share a video clip with you guys. Hang on. Let me share the screen. Okay. We're going to spotlight this. Now, watch this, guys.
Harm your guy who's catching the football.
Previous play was reviewed. Personal foul. Targeting number 10 of the receiving team. That 15-yard penalty will bank and enforce after the kickoff.
Hey, by the way, that's the second personal foul on Connor Taylor now.
Now, one look at this hit that they're.
Again, from that vantage point, his helmet looks like it hits him in the chest. That's not a helmet-to-helmet contact.
That's an absolutely brutal hit right there.
100% targeting. But watch this hit.
So there is a Massachusetts player that's gone into the stands.
Yeah.
And now more Massachusetts players are going into the stands.
Absolute delirium.
You can kind of tell the discipline of your football team by this. There's absolutely no reason for a football player.
The announcer is so calm and swear he's channeling John Madden.
I don't care what somebody said. I don't care if somebody said something about your mom. What are you doing? I mean, I see number 5 there, Chris Ingram. What are you doing?
What are you doing?
Makes absolutely no sense.
Okay.
So that 5 players from Massachusetts got ejected because of that in the game. And it was just funny. Like if you watching the rest of the clip, the ref comes in and announces them and is like, number 5, number 8, number 18, number all ejected.
Yes. And the IFL actually came out and issued a press release. I don't have it queued up, so I'm not going to bring it up. But they basically said that there are a bunch of players from the Massachusetts team that are going to get fined. There's a couple of players that are suspended indefinitely. And
so three Massachusetts players are suspended indefinitely.
Yes.
The Leon O'Neal, who was the first guy who you saw in the stands at the very beginning of the clip, which is actually the guy who took the hit on the targeting call. So that was the guy who went into the stands first. I don't know if maybe he just, got knocked out and forgot where he was, but Chris Ingram.
Wait. You said he got knocked out?
Defensive back Chris Ingram and linebacker Chucky Williams are the 3 players from Massachusetts suspended indefinitely.
Chucky Williams. What a name. What a name. So, yeah, that game wound up being an absolute nightmare, right? And all that craziness, the Arizona player, I'm going to call it, that 100% was a dirty hit. He put his chest down and his head down and rammed into the guy, and that was uncalled for. Okay.
Yeah.
But Arizona wound up winning 52-43, right? Rough game. 100% Jackie right here.
Yep.
Football and wrestling all in one, right? And we thought the XFL 1.0 was bad. All right. So,
this probably will, though, get the IFL a few more mentions, and probably a few more views. So,
yes, I don't disagree. So we've got a busy week coming up this week 17. Our top 4 teams, Frisco and Massachusetts, right? And then that's in the Eastern, and in the Western, you've got Arizona and Bay Area. Okay. We've got 2 weeks left, and a lot of these games still have some playoff implications. Sioux Falls playing Iowa. That is not going to really have too much of an impact on anything. Green Bay at Quad City, again, not really going to matter much.
Well, both Quad City and Sioux Falls are there. I'm assuming they're in the hunt. I guess I had to see what the IFL.
Well, I mean, technically, Green Bay's in the hunt too.
Yeah. I mean, Green Bay and
Green
Sioux
Bay's
Falls
in the
have
hunt
the
too at
same record.
7-6. Right.
So,
they're
all
it could
kind of gaining for the top 3-4 seeds. They're all kind of within striking distance. So,
but I don't think. I personally don't think that Green Bay is going to be going on any further. I think they're going to drop this one and they'll be out of the hunt. And it's going to be Sioux Falls and Quad City trying to sneak in somewhere.
Yeah.
Tucson Sugar Skulls and Duke City Gladiators. Tucson Sugar Skulls are technically still in the hunt, 3rd place, 7-6. Duke City Gladiators are 5-8. They could be playing spoiler, right?
Yep.
Massachusetts at Northern Arizona. I don't see Massachusetts dropping that game, but it's going to be an important game for them to play and win.
I mean, they're
going to be
in
2nd place,
and they're down, many players. So,
and then you've got San Diego at Bay Area. That's going to be important for Bay Area to win, right? Because even though they've clinched a playoff berth, I mean that could still impact how the rest of their playoff schedule goes, right? So yeah, some of these games are going to have some really serious implications here. And of course, it looks like did I say Frisco? No, it looks like Frisco's got the week off, so they're definitely going to be watching to see what happens. Now, we're going to go back to Jackie's comment right here. Love it when SAJ is in a sassy vibe, and I am 100% in my sassy vibe. Okay. For those of you that know me and my new friends that are meeting me through this format, I'm very, very dedicated to the idea that journalism needs to hold true to journalistic principles and standpoints. Don't report something if it's not true. Don't make up stories and fire people up. Don't try and take credit for things that you had absolutely nothing to do with, right? In the XFL, we have a character, and his name is similar to a certain barbecue joint in this town that's absolutely horrible barbecue, right? That's just my personal opinion, but right, we're not going to mention names specifically, but you know who I'm talking about, right? This guy was notorious for going around and trying to hype up things that he had absolutely nothing to do with. He was notorious for trying to take credit for things that he had nothing to do with, trying to create groups that he's stealing ideas from other groups, and it all wound up blowing up in his face, and then he just faded off into obscurity, right? We've got a similar character in the indoor community, if you will, and I've got a feeling somebody's got a comment here. Yes, he who shall not be named, right? But I want to show you guys this. This is a screenshot that I took from a character who runs a website dedicated to all things arena football. Okay. And we're going to highlight this guy. Boom. Right here. I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but Indoor Football Insiders 24/7 reported a couple of days ago that there's going to be a bunch of teams that are going to be leaving the IFL and joining the, newly founded AFL, right? He's also making implications about the NAL folding and a lot of teams going into the into the AFL, making this AFL Super League of like 385,000 teams or whatever. That is an exaggeration, of course, but I'm doing it for entertainment purposes, right? Fayetteville and West Texas to join the IFL next season. Guys, keep in mind, this was said after Fayetteville folded, okay? Fayetteville folded because they were financially insoluble. Like, they could not keep their doors open. They were losing money, hemorrhaging money, if you will. And this guy is saying that they're going to get a team in the IFL. And St. Louis getting an IFL team, nothing about San Antonio, right? San Antonio is just going to be an island on its own. Really, guy? Like, you were called out several times on your post, me included, okay? Not once did you reveal a single source. Not once did you mention a single source as to where you're getting this information from. Insiders that you know, connections that you have in the different leagues, nothing. But you took the time to make a post about how IFL employees, NAL employees were leaving the league office in tears because they knew the league was going to be folding. And then you took down your post. Why? Why? Because you're a chump. You don't actually know what you're talking about. And you're spreading rumors to try and make yourself relevant when you know nobody's paying attention to you. So back to the journalistic comment. If you're going to act like a journalist, be a journalist. Post real things. Make sure you're quoting your sources. Make sure you have reliable information and stop spreading rumors. Okay? It's fans like you that make fans like me obviously upset. Okay? Do better, man. Do better. I'm off my soapbox now.
I think that's what we should call the segment. Do better.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah. Do better by SAJ.
Yep.
I like that. You know what? That's the segment names now.
We're going to do this. When I catch people slipping, you're going to get on the do better segment. That's what we're going to do from now on. Okay. And I like it. So that being the case, we've talked about the USFL. We've talked about the IFL. We've talked about the NAL. As far as XFL news goes, we do know that there's going to be the upcoming showcases, right? We're definitely going to be interested in all of that. I personally would like to see a one-on-one. Yep. Do better. I would love to see a one-on-one interview between Daryl Johnson and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, right? Just because I'd like to be able to see Daryl Johnson answer for his "this is the professional league" comments, right?
Yeah. Oh, it never happened, though. As much as we would love to see that.
100%, it'll never happen. Just like you'll never see a civil, debate between politicians, right? It's all for show, So I get it, but again, do better. Moose Johnson, you got to do better, man.
Oh, we got a double do better segment this week, huh?
Yes. Well, I mean, we did that one already, so I'm not going to go back. But again, I think the XFL is a better product. I think it draws a lot more attention, right, from the media, because everybody's expecting this to be just this flaming dumpster fire of rehashing of what it used to be. And it's not. This is
No.
a whole new product. It's whole new investors, whole new business model, whole new business plan. Okay? Keep your eyes on the XFL, because I'm telling you, in 3 years, when it is financially, relevant and it's able to stand on its own, and you've got people buying teams, and there's going to be expansions, and it's going to be true spring football, where will the USFL be?
No.
I'm pretty sure it's going to be back. Just my thoughts. But that being the case, NFL, we don't really have a whole lot going on still, right? There's still some movement. We have talked about Spicy Leg Romo and his jersey being on sale in the Detroit Lions fan shop. Right here. Amazing how one of the two USFL teams that played at home won the championship so they could have a 12-block parade. I wonder. It's funny, 12-block parade, yet the Brahmas did a 3-mile parade.
Oh, yeah. My feet
apples, folks.
My feet are still tired from that.
Yep. So again, not a whole bunch going on in the NFL.
Although, to be fair, it was Birmingham. I mean, the city only has 12 blocks, so
I mean, you're not wrong, but they could have at least lapped like 3 times or something.
Yeah, that's true.
Make it somewhat relevant, And I will say that, that Fiesta Flambeau Parade was a lot of fun, right? That's going to be one of my most cherished memories, hanging out with my friends, supporting something I absolutely love. But I still think that we were probably one of the rowdiest group, and we brought the most energy, considering we were at the very end of the parade, right? And even our tractor was tired, dude. So, again, that being the case, not a whole bunch of NFL news going on right now. Again, we do have the showcases coming up. I'm trying to find more information about those. XFL. This is why you don't do your searches on the fly. Okay, you've got. Let me go to the website here. You've got what is this one? Is this the Houston one? No. 2023 showcases. July 7th, you've got XFL St. Louis showcase. July 9th, you've got DC showcase. July 14th, you've got Houston showcase. And July 16th, you've got XFL Arizona showcase, right? So you've got 4 showcases coming up in this next month.
So we've already had 2 in Georgia on June 17th and 18th.
Okay. So that's 2 out of 6.
Nope.
For opportunities for players to showcase themselves and potentially get picked up in the next XFL draft. Now, there's going to be, some potential opportunities for some really good players, and there's going to be some heartbroken players going home from these things. If you're out there watching, guys, don't stop. Don't take no for an answer. Go back, put in the work, find out what it is that kept you from making that's the name. Work on that. Get better, get stronger, get faster, get meaner, get leaner, right? Get yourself into the XFL. This is the opportunity that players such as these that are competing in these showcases have been waiting for, right? This is the evolution of your career. This is the next step. So don't be discouraged, okay? I know it's hard, me being on this side of the screen, trying to tell people who are fighting for their football lives, but I'm telling you, don't ever give up on your dreams. Stay hungry, keep working. Things will work out, okay? Maybe not for everybody.
And, that's what's great about these spring leagues, and even the USFL. I mean, we dog on it a lot, but it's a great opportunity for these players who are just not quite there for the NFL to get there, to have some real game time and to hone their skills. So, I mean, we've got so much football and so many opportunities for these guys that, I mean, their dream doesn't just die with, oh, I didn't get drafted, or I didn't get picked up, or I got cut from, a training
From training camp.
Training camp roster. Sorry, my mind just went blank. So there's so many other avenues that these players have now, which is fantastic, especially for those of us that just love football.
Yes. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about UTSA football, right? There's tons of different colleges going on. A lot of recruits signing up for a lot of teams. Texas looks to be relevant again as Texas and Oklahoma move into the SEC. UTSA has moved into the American Athletic Conference, but there was one story that broke about 8 hours ago that I'm very excited about. And it looks like on Sunday, UTSA landed 4-star safety Kenyon Kelly. He's the highest ranked player to commit to the UTSA program.
Nice.
Okay, that's big. That's big for UTSA, right? Because now they're starting to become relevant. Okay, not that they weren't, not that they couldn't have been other ways, but this is important for the growth of the program. The program's been around now for 11, 12 years, I believe. This character joining the cast, Frank Harris and company, is going to help boost UTSA in getting recruits now that they're in the American Athletic Conference, right?
And I mean, this is where it starts. You get a 4-star recruit this year. Well, then the 4 and 5-star recruits start looking at you. So, this is absolutely a fantastic news for UTSA, for the program, and for all the fans and stuff.
Yes. Now, check these numbers out. He's 6'1", 190 pounds, 4-star recruit, right? He was the number 29 safety in the nation, right? Number 52 overall prospect in Texas. This guy turned down offers from some very, very big prestigious schools. And he did this because he wanted to join UTSA's squad. Specifically, I'm trying to find the coach that he fell in love with. It was not Jeff Traylor. But I want to say it was the defensive coordinator coach.
Jess Sloat.
Yes. He
That's
said
who it
there
was.
was just instant chemistry with the guy. He felt like this guy was going to get Kelly to the best that he could possibly be in college athletics and beyond. And so he was like, that's where I want to go.
Yep.
That's big. Okay.
Absolutely.
We already know that Jeff Traylor is an incredible coach. He's spent time at Texas, SMU, and Arkansas. And not bad for a guy from Gilmer, Texas, right? But he brings that hometown mentality of coaching to the professional stage of college football. He's going to make a lot of great football players in this program. Yes. And so this is huge, right? And so looking at the list of some of the other players that have signed on with your UTSA Roadrunners, you've got offensive lineman Davian Hurth. You've got offensive lineman Briley Brown, hometown boy from O'Connor. Zechariah Robinson is another defensive lineman. You've got quarterback Noah Lugo and tight end Nate Markowicz. Hopefully I said that right and didn't butcher your name. If I did, I apologize. But we're getting some really good players, right? Now that we've got a 4-star recruit, now we're going to start getting more 4-star recruits. And when you start getting a bunch of 4-star recruits, you're going to start getting some 5-star recruits, yep. Right? So I would say within the next 3 years, don't be surprised if we start getting our first round of 5-star recruits wanting to join the UTSA Roadrunners, because we are going to absolutely dominate the American Athletic Conference. Okay. Brian, what else you got?
No, I think that's it. Nothing football wise.
Okay. So let's do our shout outs real quick. Coach would have joined us tonight, but he had a family emergency at home. So thoughts and prayers with him.
Absolutely.
And now that he is no longer employed with his previous employer and is currently employed with someone else, we may actually get him on the show a little bit more, and we may actually get some more football, like high school football updates. As our show progresses and we get closer and closer to high school football season, we will be joined by another special guest. I don't want to reveal too much about that, but he is a very recognizable voice if you've ever been to a certain high school football game or a certain college football game. We'll just tease you with that, and that's all I'm going to say about that. But we have great things planned for the show. We do hope to expand. Again, we're testing out new technology tonight. If we like it, there's opportunities for us to look into that more. I do feel bad for our previous software because they couldn't do anything like this. And they couldn't do anything like, hang on, where's my, they couldn't do anything like this. Right? I mean, these are all fun things for me.
Yeah.
But you know what?
And that's what's important, you know.
What I love is you guys, the fans, because you keep cheering us on.
Well, I got my shout out for the end of the show. We obviously tomorrow, July 4th, the birthday of the greatest country in the world, but it is also somebody else's birthday, and it is my really good friend, my co-host, SAJ. So, Jay, I hope you have a great birthday tomorrow.
I appreciate that, Brian. I can already tell you this weekend has been an absolute blast celebrating. Got to hang out with a lot of cool people this weekend, a lot of good friends. A lot of the Horns Forward podcast was there, and just some other really good friends. Had a great time actually going to the SAFC game on Saturday with the family. That was an incredible time. They always put on a good show and have really great fireworks. And got to be lazy last night because it's Sunday. But again, it's been an incredible birthday, and it truly, it would be nothing without you guys. Okay. Jackie, appreciate it. Horns Forward. Brian right here. Let's put up his comment. If I can get my computer to work, my mouse is being stupid. Florida Brian, let's talk. I'll hook you up with the software. It's actually pretty good software, pretty reasonable. But that being the case, yeah, it is my birthday tomorrow, but more importantly, it is the 4th of July, the celebration of the greatest nation on this planet. Where else can you have football literally all year round, plus baseball, basketball, soccer, hockey, you name it? There's a professional sport for every sport now. Okay. Shout out to the US soccer team. They're doing some good things. I know this show isn't about soccer, but my girls play soccer, so I'm a little bit personally involved in that. I'm also excited for the U.S. women's national team to take the field, especially considering, I've got daughters, so I am biased, and I expect really big things for the U.S. women's team. I think they're going to dominate the world, and they're going to show everybody what's up. So shout out to them. Of course, got to give a shout out to Flex and Texan for being a fan of the show. And then to you guys, thank you so much. If it wouldn't for you guys, it would just be, two middle-aged guys talking about football, pretending like we knew what the hell we were doing. So,
which we do it too. We do it on our own anyway, so might as well do it in front of a camera. So,
exactly. So we appreciate you.
Have a safe 4th of July. Don't become Jason Pierre-Paul. Make sure you go to bed tomorrow with as many fingers as you woke up with. So
I'm gonna end the show with back it up, Terry. Back it up. Guys, that's it. So from the JPP studios, I'm SAJ.
All right. From the Suck It England studios, I'm BD.
We're out.